Hello. I think we're live now. I'm making this face because what kind of crap is that? And now I got to repost all the links. Oh my goodness. It'll work itself out eventually. Astrology bliss. Yay. It works. I am not crazy. I don't even know. It picked up like it deleted. Just been, Uranus and Gemini. What else can I say? Uranus and Gemini. I had to reinstall the driver. So my apologies. Yep. I don't know if you have been having electronic issues. Yeah. It's like an extra measure of grace, like right off the top. Like, where did my driver go? I set everything up. Been working. Where did my driver go? It just. Yeah, Heather and I were talking about that last night about with the AI and stuff. We think that, perhaps when AI, how AI goes a little loopy and it does this thing? Maybe they're running software. You know what I mean? That sort of thing. Yeah, I tried going live with my patron. I can't do this. I can't do nope, that's too much. No moss, no moss, no moss. Yeah, it's been challenging. Yeah. Yeah. I just wanted to give it a second and then I'll go ahead and roll. And I'm just going to wing it because that's how I roll. I just, who needs to study, right? Who needs to study astrology? Of all things, who needs to study? I think it's this one. Get myself organized. I want to update. Grab my little, that one. Okay. Okay, Mom, I think I'm ready now. Astrology bliss, when I tried like 12 years ago with flashcards, it was like not happening. But when I learned as I went, it just flowed. I think, yeah. Part of the discussions yesterday between the business meetings and the personal phone calls and stuff, I think the warning that came out was if you're going to use AI to help you interpret astrology stuff, to be very cautious because not all the information is true. And you can't just, people, they look for certain questions and they don't dig any further. And that's probably a bad thing. Oh, it gets so much of it wrong. Yeah, it does get so much of it wrong. And a friend asked me a question and said, you know, she was like, I look at AI and I study here and there and I piece it together, but it's nothing like what I can do. And so she asked me, "How do you know so much about it?" And I agree with Mark Jones. I don't know if you're familiar with Mark Jones. He's one of the top kingpins of evolutionary astrology. But in his book, he kind of describes that the best way to learn astrology is to get familiar, like with all the energy signs and stuff, but to put it in front of your face. And he said that he'd hang a chart in the bathroom so that when he's brushing his teeth every day, like twice a day, he's in there brushing his teeth, he's studying the chart. Well, I kind of do the same thing, but I don't now. I must say, now, after all these years, I don't need to put a chart in front of me. My memory can just pick up the angles, and I meditate on it. I'll chew on it and chew on it and chew on it. And then those Virgo type questions come in, like, well, if this is this, then that must be that. And if this is the case, then does that make sense? And over time, it's gotten really bad because I was telling Heather, I was like, oh my God, I've gotten to the point of simplicity with the language that I've been able to take each sign and assign it a system or a part on an aircraft engine. I know that sounds ridiculous, but it's very, very true. Sorry, my hair is whatever. It's curly now. Uh, and I'm like, okay, if Aries is the ignition, right? And Taurus would be, and then Gemini would be this. I get around to Leo, and I'm like, okay, Leo's the part that's revving, ready to go. Virgo is the filter. And then Libra, I got Libra like finally after all these years. Libra would be um, a male connector to a female connector, and you put it together like that, and it's a yes or no kind of answer. If you have an electrical, even with your USB cord, it's got to fit into the slot. If it doesn't fit right, if it's not perfect, it ain't gonna work. Period. Period. So Libra, with all of its challenges, feeling that cardinal energy of like we have to make it work. We've got to try. But if it don't fit, it don't fit, and you can't move the energy from Leo. Pushing the fuel and all of the stuff through the filter of Virgo, you know, out to the systems, because Libra's the bridge. So I'm looking at hydraulic lines and I'm looking at, and in my mind, it's so silly. It's so silly. We get to Scorpio, and Scorpio's like, hell yeah. Scorpio's like the horsepower. You push the throttle, the afterburners, squeeze all that energy into a thing, and you opens, closes, more energy out. It squeezes like that. That's yeah. And now you're flying. And now you've got Sagittarius. But if you don't have a focal point, I've decided that Sagittarius is like, wee, it's all over the place. Which is why some young Sagittariuses, this is me on a rant and a ramble again, you guys. My apologies. Hey, Jen. I am so sorry, Jen. I've been fighting. My driver went missing on the computer. Just random. Had to reload the driver to the camera. Wasn't picking it up. Hey, Tess, what you doing? There's all my people. Hi, Jessica. Hi. Astrology Bliss says, yes, the language is where I struggle. I have so much I want to say, but no one understands what I'm saying. So get whatever works for you. I need to find something like that. Yeah. I think of, an aircraft engine, but of course I would. What is my problem? What is my problem? Here, I want to get in here and I want to do something cool. You can go into these lives and go into the control room. Bum, bum, bum. I don't know how to work the control room. It makes me feel special. So I'm going to have it up. Yeah, okay. So where was I? Sagittarius. You have the younger Sagittariuses in the first decan, the first 5 degrees, I would think, 0 to 5 degrees. And the energy is just like, I'm here. But if you have water all over the place, let's say that you have a water sign over your ninth house, or Jupiter, like mine. Jupiter is in a water sign for me. I've never said that out loud to anybody because they don't understand you. I totally agree with you, Bliss. Totally. It's just gonna be like, phew. So without the focal point, of the path, because I was telling Heather this. I know I'm stumbling, but this is kind of how I meditate on it. I stumble around in the dark, and then eventually and all the puzzle pieces like Virgo start coming together, and I can see the picture, and I'm like, oh, okay. So without the focal point, the water's everywhere. However, if you push with the power of that Scorpio, because any type of Sagittarius Jupiter thing is going to carry the thrust and the push and the horsepower of your 8th house. It's going to be like, so whatever's the 9th house, you have the power of the 8th, the power. So let me explain what I'm talking about so you guys get the lingo that I have going on here. I am in the control room and I feel so special, but how the heck do I share my screen from here? All right, let me go back. I'll share my screen and I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. Okay. So I want to make sure that I can see you guys. Okay, cool. There you are. Yep. Yes, I did pair my own chart with President Trump because if you can't tell, there I go, squirrel, there I go. And I encourage you guys to do this. I'm just going to stop and do this real quick. All right, there's me and there's President Trump right there. See it? And I'm like, oh, okay. So me and President Trump, we have Pluto in the 12th. That's interesting. This is our composite chart, you guys. And the sun is right here for me and him. And it's on Uranus, of all things, in the 12th. That's 2 generational planets that President Trump and I have in our composite chart. Do you know what this means for me? You don't want to know. North node for him and I, right there in the 11th. I mean, this is a lot of planetary stuff in the 4th quadrant of the chart. And we both have a Scorpio moon together. So there's somebody here, probably in the White House, hanging out, listening to us and all of our craziness. And I say, hello, friend. Hi, how are you? Because look at the nodes, man. They're fixing to swap. Anyway, what I was telling the girls yesterday in our like business conversations was check your chart because I think with these placements, especially paired with President Trump, I think something's coming for women, you know? I think something's coming for women. I do. Anyway, don't mind me. I'm just a random astrologer. Hello. I don't know why people call us crazy. We have to study like insane study. Here, I'm going to turn the light on so you can see my face. We have to study like nuts to be able to speak a language like this. All right, so here's Sagittarius. And the location for this is Corpus Christi. And the sky will move for Corpus, and I will. Okay, so there, Scorpio rising, right? Sagittarius in the first, crossing over into the second, right there. It's a crossover. But it has the power of Scorpio, the horsepower. I would also say Pluto, the horsepower to boost Sagittarius. And what Sagittarius is, out exploring or trying to find resources, thinking bigger. So if you're like more, we need more right here. We need more. I do think, sorry about that. Looks like I'm having trouble. I do think that the Sagittarius energy is constantly in that yang modality of reach, reach, reach. But if you have a water sign and Sag together, it would be more effective to keep your eye on the ball. That way you can take all that water energy and put it into like a power washer. So how do we do something like that? It's pick your battles, pick your goals, the internal combustion that is kicking around. It would be like a washing machine, the power of an internal motor on a boat where you can't really see the motor, right? Because it's inside and underneath the boat, it's in the water. You've got to have somebody at the helm. So I encourage everyone, because I am a Virgo, I encourage everyone to write your goals down. That's what my first mentors when I was a teenager. Write the goal down. Scribble, scribble. Some people put it up on their wall. And I think I was speaking with I think it was USAA this week, the lady on the phone. And we were goofing around and laughing about the fact that we buy all these calendars and then we forget to use them. We forget to use the calendars. And so Sagittarius also, like to be able to focal point Sag, there has to be discipline right here. Some sort of discipline in your nature that says, I'm going to make sure I set my alarm clock right here before I go to bed. So when the sound goes off, the goal gets accomplished like that. And I'm using really small like tiny little things to describe this, but it's very similar even with larger things. You wake up and you take your mind and you say, no, 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 I can't. I'll reserve that thought for later. Scratch it down, put it over there. But right now, I'm taking the dog out. I don't want to hear nothing. Everybody, shut up. And keep the eye on the ball like that. And that's a Capricorn trait, is to apply some sort of discipline to the goal, or you're just going to have Scorpio energy revving and gasoline going, nowhere, like that. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's the way that I see it. The purpose over here needs to be aligned with this Aquarian energy. Aquarian is the final checkpoint. For real, this is the inspector, the final quality control person who is double checking your eggs before they leave the factory. Okay. This is the person who says yay or nay. It's good or it's bad. There's no color here. It's black and white. It either is or it is not. Good to go, yay or nay. Right? Roll that girl back in the hanger. Little princess needs a fixin'. It's sort of like that. So the purpose here, the reason why we would push Scorpio energy forward in the first place, why would we even go down that trail? I'm so glad when my friends are not like, Miriam, change this. It's all wrong. Just peace, Give me peace with my astrology, please. Everybody get out. What in the world is going on? There we go. Why would we have a goal over here? The thrust, the afterburners, opening the thrust, push, right? Here's the throttle. Here's the gas pedal. This joker right here is Leo. Leo is the gas pedal. That's how I see it. Hit the gas, the fluids flow, vacuum sealed, ensure that everything is vacuum sealed right here with Libra, because, some people will alter in relationships for the other person, and the compatibility is to flex the line between us, because life's going to hit you with all sorts of things. It's not static. It's got to move. So here we need saran wrap. You need to go get your... Look, if you're wrapping people in saran wrap, that ain't got nothing to do with me. You know what I mean? But this is where that kind of action would happen. I'm going to go back over here and see some of the comments going on. Astrology bliss. My family just looks at me and is like, you're speaking Norwegian after 12 years. Yeah, they don't know. They don't know. Right? Heather just pulled up her composite with Trump. Weird is all I have to say. That is what she's saying. Allie, hello. So I've just spent 23 minutes rambling about astrology stuff. I'm gonna go back over there and see if I can't cover what I believe is going on. Okay, people call this stuff a pseudoscience. It is only a pseudoscience until the science shows up, because it always does, and it always will. I should go through, I don't have it all set up here. It's at the computer at the house. This is the apartment, if you can't tell. This is the apartment, the house is that way. What was I saying? What was I saying? Oh, yes. If we go through the news stuff that I follow, you're going to see that science is catching up to belief, is catching up to, oh, well, it's tangible. Yeah, bitch, it's tangible. I don't think you and I walked out on this in a state of faith. I don't think so. If you remember the first time that you started picking, not a horoscope. Horoscope was a marketing gig to sell more newspapers. And those who have studied well know that that's the case. A horoscope is not the same as astrology. It would be like saying you have the entire English language, but I'm going to focus on the word but. We're going to try to have an entire conversation using the word but. It would sound a lot like this. But. but. That's what it would sound like. Okay? Don't use a horoscope and think that it's doing much for you. Some people are just really good writers. How about that? And that's what I would say. But astrology is the whole, and those of you that like originally think of the moment you went back, however you stumbled into it, and there came a day when you're perusing and perusing and you're still testing and you're bouncing around and you're like, I don't know. And then the day happens and an angel comes out of heaven and just smacks you right there. And you go, wait a minute. I just felt the room shift. People talk about energy shifts all the time without using astrological vernacular. They say it all the time. I was standing in the elevator and oh my God, it was so uncomfortable. Astrology can explain why you're uncomfortable. And if you come to my people who, there's a lot of evolutionary astrologers with us, which is, I love that. But if you go dip into evolutionary astrology and you start learning how to read the past and the future, you'll be like, oh, no wonder you were a miner, a coal miner, and you went down into those tunnels all the time. You don't like closed spaces. You don't like them. And then you ask them, have you ever been to a coal mine? You start asking these questions, right? And the person's like, oh my God, I did. My family went to the mountains in northern Nevada, right? We stayed in a cabin, and I remember they tried to take us on a tour into this mine. And I remember the memory because you have a billion experiences all throughout your day, right? You guys can't tell me what you ate for breakfast 6 weeks ago, but it happened. More than likely, it happened. So every little sense, all the stimuli get stored, right, in our unconscious area. That's why if you study psychology, you'll see that 90% of our world is lived back here in the back of our brain. We only use 10% up front that's awake. 90% is asleep in the back. Unless you hang out with my people, because girl, we'll lay you down. We'll just lay you down and be like, let's go into a past life regression and get to the back of your head. Because it's a real thing. Psychologists study 10, 20, years learning how to hypnotize people and take them under. True? Of course, true. I have facts to back all of this stuff up. So when you begin to see the translations in your world all around you, that's the moment, that's the day that it just pings you right in the head that this stuff has merit. Because I know so many Aquarius people pick up astrology because they're supposed to. If you have placements, if you have placements like Mercury in the 11th house, you're supposed to learn astrology. If you have Aquarius over the 3rd house, you're supposed to learn astrology. If go backwards, right? If you have Uranus in the 3rd house, like the planet is sitting in the house, you're supposed to learn astrology. It's supposed to come to you, this language, and you and this language kind of meet together because Aquariuses are special people and I don't want to hear it because they really are special people. Ask me how. If you're new to the channel, hi, my name is Miriam. I got some crazy stories. I do. And when it comes to Aquariuses, in the majority of my client readings for the past what 8 years, the majority of them have had some very strange situation when we step into their chart. Strange as in I was the third wife and who already had 15 children, and he wanted 15 more out of me. But during childbirth on my 12th, Aquariuses are supposed to have these unnatural, it goes against societal norms, whatever this is. But it's also a thing that society could put a warning, because y'all know that somebody got in a barrel one day and decided it was going to be heck of fun going down Niagara Falls, which I've been to. And I'm just going to let you know right now, as I approached it, there's this wall, right? You start walking towards, and it comes up so fast. The water just, it is, there's warnings for a reason, people. Don't go near that. If somebody got in a barrel, thought it was a heck of good idea, right? To go cruising down. What do you think that person came in as? Ah, Aquarius. It's an abnormal, strange kind of passing. It's not. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Hey, you. How are you, Aqua Baby? Pseudoscience, yes. Heather says, welcome to Uranus and Gemini while Pluto is in Aquarius. Thank you very much. Thank you, Heather. She knows her. I'm not kidding. The energy flipping back and forth in Gemini, speeding up with thrust and push and power from Scorpio. Yeah. That would be like just a huge like air mass pushing very fast and twirling things as it goes. Sounds a lot like a hurricane or a tornado. Yes, it is true though that Aquarius rules. Aquarius does rule the weather. The weather. Yeah. Sounds like wild sex. Outside. Get outside. You get outside. All right. Does anybody have any questions before I actually step into the chart? Yes, ma'am. Anybody have like a random astrology question before I move over to the chart? I love each and every one of you in here. You know that? I've spent time with each and every one of you. I remember the moments too. I remember talking with Jen. Yeah. Allie, in some houses how they eat rice with every meal. That's Allie. She just shows up for the meals. I'm sorry I'm picking on you. Allie's like, yeah, I don't mind. I've spent time with each one of you. Aqua Baby 11 says, been feeling like I've been pushed out the birth canal and learning to walk, metaphorically speaking. Yeah, it's really strange, isn't it? You're not the only one. So I spoke with Amba this morning for a few hours, and I would just add everybody on the list because it feels like, for me, it feels as if I get up and I'm like, okay, I've got a focal point. This is what I'm getting done today. Amabel always taught me, you're going to make your to-do list, and 90% of it is a joke. It's a joke. And so if you even get one or two things done on that list, you did well. And learning how to like praise yourself through the day. So Al-Anon taught me that and like practicing it and stuff. I think the only days I feel like a failure at night are the days when there's people like there's pressure. So you set the goal, right? You wake up, you're like, okay, that's it. This is what I'm going to do. All of us have been like getting up and moving towards the thing, and then a train just goes and knocks you off course. You're half a mile that way and you don't know what the heck. And while you're over there, spirit kind of goes, oh, well, while you're over here, why don't you go to the 7-Eleven and get us all slushies? Like, what just happened to my day? And it's happening to all of us. Look at the camera thing. I had to reinstall the driver to a camera that I've been using. It worked for the previous live, like it was on, and all of a sudden the driver was gone. Stuff like that. Heather has an announcement there. Oh, yes. Yes. All right. There's enough of us in here who are part of my Patreon channel. We need to prepare in our hearts for a shifting of responsibilities. That's a bad word for this, because what we're doing is we're choosing to organize and put certain content over here and then certain content over here. That way, everything is now my Patreon channel. We need to prepare that in the next 2 or 3 months, I will be doing less tarot, less tarot, less tarot. My hands don't work. I literally can sit down and do 2 3-minute videos, and my hands will hurt so bad, and the rest of my legs and stuff. It's terrible. So the disease has progressed enough where it hurts. And I've spent months off course, like the rest of you guys, going, okay, I need to figure out a way to connect with my people while laying in bed, if that's the case, because I won't be able to function sitting in a chair or using my hands. And thus, while my hands are working, we're going to be moving down, moving down. Now, don't lose hope, y'all. Don't lose hope. Pluto just entered into Aquarius. I know Heather hasn't lost hope. In the next 10 years, y'all, medicine is going to be nuts. Everything that's on the news and all over the place, it's like negative, and they only focus on like one thing going on. That's not, that ain't me. I follow the science, and I'm telling you, medicine is going, like, they're clearing right now. Certain AIs have learned how to find and diagnose issues, right? She's like highlighting it, squirrel. But what I'm saying is, don't lose hope, because this may not be with me forever. We're going to move the tarot and the astrology stuff over to a new Patreon channel, Woke Ones. We want all the Woke Ones stuff together, Woke.Ones.Revolution together. And we actually have that channel up. Ta-da! Magic trick, right? Heather has the link right up there. And just know that over the course of the next 3 months, I'm going to be putting less tarot on the channel. It's just got to be that way. And Heather's right. I'm thinking, like, right off the top of my head, I would say December 15th, to make sure that everyone has a chance to be redirected over to Woke.Ones.Revolution Patreon channel. And so certain content will be over there. Now, on my Patreon channel, you guys are going to love it, because it is time where my writing is coming out, and now I have AI and I have all sorts of tools to play with, but it's my writing. I don't like using the word devotional, But I wanted to include you and bring you guys even closer to the way that I process. I wanted to huddle because I have these big thoughts. Heather and I and Allie and Amber, we all have these large discussions, but we never hit record. You know what I mean? We never hit record. And I've sat with so many of you, and we are so um it's like Aquarius. Put a bunch of little bouncing, plutonian chemicals or something all together. We all start bouncing together and we create this electricity together. If you're here, you're like me, you're like Heather, you're like Allie. So I don't know how many times Heather and I will be in a spin and I'm like, dude, we should have hit record. We should have hit record. So I want to bring you guys in even closer to that process. And I don't want to use the word devotional. I don't. So this is what I've named this project: intimacy accountability. Because I think we're going to need, as a society, some sort of structure. So let me share on the screen, unless I closed it. Well, hang on. Thank you for the hearts. Thank you for the love. Thank you. I know my hair is nuts. Okay. All right, here we go. Let me share the screen, because this is going to be like a little library that will be accessible. It'll be like a little library accessible for my patrons to access. Am I sharing this yet? No. You see his face? Stumbling blocks just every time. I don't want any of that. Okay. I'm going to repeat this statement right here at the very front of these videos. Let me read it to you guys if you're listening. I am here, and that is enough, just as I am. This is my daily practice of showing up for me. I name what's present, even when it's difficult. I accept my experience as if it's not mine. Without judging it, I stay with myself because I matter. This is my intimacy accountability. This is when I choose to respond truthfully. I'm not here to impress, I'm here to witness. I face myself calmly and without making changes. I offer presence, not perfection. I come home to myself, not as a duty, but as a self loyalty to remain authentic. I listen for the quiet ache, the soft truth, the unfinished thread. I give myself attention that asks nothing in return. I am here, and that is enough, just as I am. It's okay, y'all. I'm going to say it in front of every single one. And this is something that, again, I believe as a society, you tell me you're authentic, prove it. You say that you've changed and you've had an awakening. Where's your discipline? What's your ritual, right? Who's your mentor? You got one of those? No? Okay. You see what I mean? It's not necessarily, I mean, to bind together, say, an idea of any sort, usually there's a book. I don't want to give people a book. I want to give people that statement. And then for however many pages of my crazy nonsense, you guys know what I do. Did I close it? No. I wrote this morning. I'm having it proofread right now, and then I'm going to record it. I have this poem right here, A Map to the New Next World by Joy Haryo. And I'm setting this in AI, and I'm going to give this poem a voice. And that's it. The daily thing that when I wake up and my mind is grabbing a hold of astrology or it's grabbing a hold of life, there's a concept of some kind, and I want to pull you guys in. It would be like sitting at the breakfast table in the morning with me, having a cup of coffee, and we talk for like 20 minutes to 5 hours, depending. Oh my God, Cassandra's here. Hello. That's my girl right there. So, yeah, we're going to restructure because of my health. We're going to restructure because Heather was willing, and she deserves all your support because she was willing, and she's putting in the time and she's putting in the work. She didn't have to do that. But she heard a calling. She got rid of like a bunch of her stuff and just went, yep, it's time. That Aquarius moon of hers. And she was like, I'm gone. And she moved out of her state for the first time in her life. Such huge, brave moves, A lot of people couldn't have done it. So Heather deserves our support and our love. She's a believer in herself. She's a believer in our truth. And she's actually answering the dang call. Everybody's like, I know I have a calling. I got to get working on it. It's time. I told you guys that last time we like really had to sit down. It's time. So yeah, it is time. And guess what the chart is saying? Does anybody have a question before I go to the chart? Anybody? Takers? I'm going to give it a second because somebody might have a good astrology question. Y'all know where to find me. You help during the day, get me home. Cassandra? Dude. How come, I'm the container? I understand that. I understand. I know I'm the container, okay? All the emotions inside of me when I see you guys is like, it's like a burst of fireworks. Like, so much love for you guys inside of this container. I just want to kiss your face. All right, I'm going to go over to the chart because apparently I'm rambling again. All right, let me try that. I don't want audio on. Okay. Here we go. That's my chart. No, that's my chart with Trump. Let me get the heck out of here, man. Get rid of you. All right. Chart of the moment. Here is the chart of the moment. Awesome sauces. I would wish for you to stop, YouTube. I do not need more tools, YouTube. I am fine. Okay, chart of the moment. This situation over here, I know Amy is texting me, Heather is texting me. What just happened? Oh, no chart. Thank you. How's that? Is that good? Heather? Can you see the chart? YouTube's got to fix that feature. One day, a blank. Hey, Star, what you doing? All right. What else can you do? Try and try again. I think that's the one we were looking at before. Let me just get out of here. All right. There's me and President Trump again, hanging out, having a good time. You know. All right. Chart of the moment right here. Gonna open it up. Here we go. This ain't gonna work either. I gotta fix my life. Heather's like, I see. Curve. Okay. Thank you for those that like checked on me with that eye thing the other day. Good God, that was so scary for me. I cried. I was crying. John shaking me. You have not lost your eyesight yet. I have Mercury and Virgo in the 12th house. I'm gonna be blind. I mean, it was bad. It was bad. Only astrologers would know that. All right. I'm gonna shut up. Where's Heather? Where's my Heather? Where's my Heather? All right, there's my Amy. There's my Heather. Okay. Phone's in front of me. If there's a problem, you let me know, please. They will. All right. Give me the news, Doc. Give me the news. Sun in Virgo, 3 degrees, 49 minutes. Happy birthday, Virgo. God dang, it really is. John and I have the same birthday. I don't know if y'all know that, but we do. I won't say anything more on that. Virgo, in the first decan, heading towards the south node, right there. I'm not necessarily looking at the houses. All right, Amy, you tell me. Make the chart bigger. Okay. I do my best, girl. There we go. Sun, first decan. Get rid of that mess. Right there. Headed towards the north node or the south node in Virgo. This is the product being developed right now. It's a good way to say it. This is the product. I'm just going to put pro. And Heather, Allie, and I were chatting yesterday, and the word of the day was like experiment. We need to experiment here. It's a Virgoan trait. Everybody knows that. Experiments, scientists and stuff like that fall under the purview of Virgo. Doctors, specialists, doctor specialists. I would also put people of any kind of physical specialty, like a chiropractor, like you're going to go do therapy. I would put them in the Virgoan state. That's, for me, that would be right. So the product that's going on right now is experimentation. And notice you can see the in conjunct. I like to pretend that I'm standing on the other side of the chart. So I kind of place myself there. And then I take my eyeballs like I'm looking through the planet this way. And I'm facing the way the planet would hit And if anyone has a question about that, like why would you look that way? Because there's a spot right here in the middle of the chart, if y'all didn't know. This spot, that's Earth. We live here. I live here. I sleep here. So do you. We all live right here in this circle. So Earth would be at the center, of this big loop de loop that affects us. And I believe it affects us with electromagnetic waves, which will not go on a long spiel because Heather's like, there she goes again. There she goes again. It was better before opening the new window. This is how. Did this get fixed, Heather? Can y'all see it now? I kind of made it larger. Oh, we got to get this fixed, y'all. This is not going to work. All right. It's fine. Okay. Thank you. All of a sudden, my face, the stress, all of a sudden, my face starts turning red. That's the disease, by the way. I don't know if y'all knew that. All right, Heather. It just doesn't look well. Here, let me close it and we'll start again. Ain't no fuss. Here, I'll close it. We'll try again. We'll just try again. Hey, Star. Star says, "Hey, Miriam, hope you're well. The chart isn't showing. It's black screen right now." Star, if we talked, you'd be telling me the same thing. Every time you try to move in a direction, it's just. Remember when we were kids and they had the red ball and it was, um, God, I can't grab it off the top of my head. Kickball. No, was it kickball we were playing? And you throw the ball. I want to get a little more, everybody's able to see me again so that I'll restart from the beginning and then try to, Lazarus project, raise everything from the dead. Dodgeball, that's the one. Oh man, the ball with the string on the pole, boom. That was like one of my favorites. And people got really good at that thing. Dodgeball, the boys were always stronger. The boys were always just, they weren't open to playfulness together. It was all like dodgeball, let's hit each other, see who's the fastest and the strongest. Tetherball, that was one of the cool ones. And there were people, yeah, they'd get in a good position and spike it. There was also the game that we used to play, Foursquare. You guys remember that? And one person would stand in each square and the ball, you'd have to defend your square. You guys remember that? Hey Brandon, what's up? Hey Kimberly. I said Emberly. Hi Kimberly, how you doing? We're just hanging out looking at charts and talking astrology and stuff. You loved Foursquare. What app are we talking about now? The Yucca app. Somebody's talking about a Yucca app. Okay. Yeah, we're just hanging out. I was about to try and open a fresh new page because I'm in the middle of a dodgeball game, y'all. And so are you. All of us are in dodgeball right now. One person's trying to get to the ATM and they're just sidetracked. Heck yeah, loved Foursquare and Double Dutch. Double Dutch. So much fun. So much fun. Pluto right now in Aquarius is going to, I mean, really, you could just stretch a string straight to the other side to Leo, and I knew it. I knew it. You're not going to find this in any book. However, in my experimentation of things, you know, add it to the list. I believe firmly that the planet and the weight of the planet, yes, it affects the other side, but sometimes because, wait, I got to get back to the chart because that's what I was explaining, and y'all were like, we can't see anything. You moved to the place. Okay, you went live for the first time today. Congratulations, mama. I know what you're talking about. I know. All right, let's try again with the chart so I can talk to you about my method for being a weirdo. Don't worry, you are too. That's why we're friends. I get your weird stuff, you get my weird stuff, and everybody's happy. All right. I'm going to, again, chart of the moment. Oh, man. As soon as I hit it, it's going to open. Share this tab instead. And then I'm going to make it large. Can somebody tell me if they can? Is this acceptable to your eyes, people? Let me know. Girl, you ain't even telling me it's blank right now. You need to stop. You are not telling me this. Are you kidding me? Somebody, anybody. I feel like I'm on an island by myself. Totally black screen. Well, you know what? Don't worry. Don't worry. Don't worry. I'll stop sharing this screen. We're gonna work it out because I'm at the apartment. The majority, pretty much all of my equipment is at the house now. Don't worry. I got my ways. I just need to have a certain look on my face, and you'll be like, oh, okay, she's fixing to solve it. View. Do you guys remember that movie with the farmer and like the farmer and the little pink pig? And the farmer barely spoke in the whole movie. Do you guys remember that? Man, I spent like days setting this computer up with everything that I needed. And now I'm like, where's my stuff? Where is my stuff? This is getting ridiculous, people. Hello, governor. There we go. Yep. Give me the right tools. I'll get the job done every single time because I have Pisces over the 6th. Okay. Let's do it this way, y'all. Wilbur, was it Wilbur? No. Charlotte's Web. How old were you when you read? Did you read Charlotte's Web or did you watch the show? And did it make you cry? Because I want to hear that answer. Because if I cried, you got to cry. You guys got to let me know. Both. I was 11. How old were you? Do you remember? I love the story, but it always made me cry. You know, Gemini and Leo, more Gemini, right? Gemini would rule like our class friends. That's a bad way to say that. That's a really bad way to say that. Classroom friends. Like we're all in a classroom together and you get familiar with people. That's Gemini, to get familiar with people. It's a good word for Gemini. Hey, Tracy. Hi, friend. Welcome. Amy says around that age, it was a school passage. Star says you were 4 or 5. I was like 11. But that's not the movie I'm talking about. The pig with they're going like the pig is trying to convince the farmer not to take him to the slaughter. Please, please don't kill me. You want to keep me. It's like that. Gemini Sagittarius axes, yeah. It is kind of like a show and tell, but the familiarity of the Gemini energy brings us in closer to what Leo and Aquarius would do. You'd have Leo, who's like the captain of the team, right? And Aquarius would be the team. And it's pulling, though, from Gemini. Gemini and that familiarity. It's a lot like the air signs, right? With Libra. Because if you're familiar with people and you're all in a, let's say, an enclosed space, like you're in the subway train or something and somebody farts, it's a lot like that. We don't forget these moments socially, especially with, and that's the Sagittarius axis. Um, and I've been in countries where there is no space between people. They'll just randomly walk up and touch their arm onto a stranger and just kind of stand there and play with their phone like it's nothing. It's very strange. A pig named Babe. That was the movie. Well done. Well done. I wish I had a button. Heather wants to get buttons. Like bah, bah. Heather wants buttons. So cute. Chester. No, it was Babe, the movie Babe. If you haven't watched it, it's worth the watch. It's not quite, if Charlotte's Web is sad and it pulls you down, Babe kind of lifts you up. Okay, so here's what I need. I'm going to restart, okay, and open the right share tab. I want the entire screen. You guys will have to let me know whether or not you can see that bad boy. How you like them apples. Yeah. Somebody send me a text because I ain't got no picture in picture. Waiting. Y'all coming or not? Somebody send me a text. Amy, Heather, can you see this picture or is it a blank page? It's showing maybe zoom a bit. Girl, where the heck I'm at 259%. Where am I going to zoom to? Ain't no zooming. 325%. That's what you get. That's it. No moss. We're doing this finally. Look at the struggle. Look at the struggle right here. The moon is just past Mars. This is frustration. Libra. It's a relatability concept. And to make things work, you have to come together, whether that's with your new iPhone, you don't know how to use it because you're a Samsung kind of person, but it's the relatability that we have with the world around us. It's not just relationships, you guys. How well do you fit with your career? Because a lot of people will be like looking at that. You know what I mean? You got Saturn and Libra, you worried about your career. It's a thing. You wonder if you fit well with what you are doing. And so I get people who call me, and y'all know it because you've been those people. I ain't talking about strangers here, y'all. I'm talking about you. Like for real, all of you. It's a relatability principle, Libra is. And if the relatability is acceptable enough, it'll pitch you into this Scorpio. I know I'm talking about the uh we're headed here. If you look at the signs, that's the third quadrant of the chart. And the third quadrant, it has to do with social skills as we go out into the world and interact with people, places, and things. There will be times where you have the power to move mountains, and there will be times when you don't have the power to move mountains. Do you get mad and duct tape your boyfriend's truck to a light pole? No, you don't do that. Maturity, but I know all of us have had people who you just go, uh-huh, that's how it's going to be. Okay. The moon and the Mars together in Libra at a frustrating moment here. And let's just add some pain to the pleasure of that. Sorry, I'm a Virgo. I am a perfectionist with my crap. It's in a square that's pretty tight right here to Jupiter and Cancer. Y'all see that square, right? This frustration, though, is probably a really good thing. And I'm saying it like that because it'll show us those tweaking areas that need to be fixed. For me, this is like we need to ensure that there's a vacuum seal on the line because the fluid right here that we're about to push through it, if it's not vacuum sealed, what happens? If you have one of those cuts in your straw when you're drinking, nobody can drink. There's got to be some sort of relatable system that it accelerates, it helps provide, it helps. No, 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 no. If I went a step further and I got really weird, like really weird, I would say that sure, this part's the womb, sure, but this is the kid, the little alien sucking the life out of your bones and your teeth and your eyeballs. So there's got to be a system here to feed that little. Y'all ever watch that movie? What is it? Yeah, Smokey and the Bandits. Smokey and the Bandits. So crazy, right? Like they're running What were they running? Liquor? Were they getting liquor across state lines? Is that what the movie was about? Getting a truck full of liquor across state lines for like a wedding? Something like that, right? It's so funny. It's cute. Sometimes you need a blocker. But the relatable systems that are set up in our world to ensure that we have momentum and that we can go forward, because the sign after Libra is Scorpio. And so here comes the moon in Libra, passing by, doing a quick high five with Mars in a frustration to show us where the leaks are in the line, right? Whether it's at your home and or with your family. Regretfully, I will also say that this could be like someone's toilet stopping up. Ain't gonna do anybody any good till you fix that toilet. So yeah, it can include the uses that your family would have, the food in the fridge, the couch. I'm gonna tell you a little secret now. Don't be telling John stuff like this, okay? It's just between me and you. John and I have been to like marital therapy 3 times. And we have discovered in marital therapy the importance of having furniture. I know that sounds silly, but sometimes it's a couch and the nutrient it will give, the life it will give, the rest and the peace. Cancer energy over here, Jupiter is there. And so Jupiter is saying, look, this needs to be established because I'm reaching into the Cancer energy and I'm finding all these little rocks and pebbles. What's going on here? We need to clear the line. The sun is going to be moving up to the south node right there. And once it hits the south node, the sun is going to say, I need to produce something Virgoan right here. A plan needs to come into place. This could be a diagnosis. You guys know that I'm fixing to start infusions, maybe, I guess. We'll see. I ain't taking their shot again. I ain't doing that again. No. So if the infusions are anything like that shot was last week, I guess I'm not taking infusions because I'm not going through that much pain again. Heck no. So here's the square. Jupiter's reaching through Cancer. I stand on this side when I look at the Jupiter, and I look this way through the planet like that, all the way to the other side. Over here is where my eyeballs will go. I look through planets. I don't just be like, oh, the sun is moving. No, I look through this way, through Mars, through the moon, all the way to the other side. And oh, guess what's over on this side? Because I think this is to me, it looks a lot like it's not a reflection. If you have a spotlight, yeah, the spotlight's gonna come like this. This would be the spotlight, but the spotlight is beaming over there. So that's why I look at the chart that way. I go through the planets. And we have Jupiter right now in Cancer doing a hunt for something, and it's going to hit something over in Capricorn. That's what I think. I think Jupiter's energy is going to beam itself to the other side of Capricorn. And that's something I've never shared with y'all. So you're welcome. And use that. Test me. Test my theory. Knock yourself out. See what it does. I don't mind because my Capricorn side of this is very secure. I just saw something off to the left. Y'all, if y'all send me your relatives, I'm going to send them right back. I am. It's going to happen. Jupiter shining its way all the way over to Capricorn. And I hold this spot in my head because what I want to see is I want to see the axes. We hit over here, sweet, beautiful Ceres. And there are astrologers that truthfully believe with their whole being that Ceres is much more powerful than Pluto. Pluto may have been discovered first, you know what I mean? But Ceres, it was not in a position, I guess, in the sky. I think it was hiding behind something in the Kuiper Belt. But when Ceres finally came out from underneath that rock, the astronomers were like, what the heck? Where'd that thing come from? It's much bigger, like 3 times the size of Pluto. And Ceres is the mother energy. And Jupiter is hanging out with mom over here. There's a lot of energy going on in Cancer. But Cancer is the place of the urge. That's our exclamation point place. You know, um, here. You know that in the northern hemisphere, those of us that are here, I'm just gonna write like that because it's fixing to be September, right? What happens here in America in September, where everybody goes, mm. I know somebody has the right answer because then people up in is it Portland, Oregon, or is it Seattle? No, it's Seattle. Starbucks comes out of Seattle, doesn't it? And you know what comes out of Starbucks? Mm, mm, mm. Guess what this is? This is Cancer energy. It is that immediate something. It's cardinal. Comes out of nowhere. It fills my throat, and we talk about meditating. We talk about quieting our inner selves, quieting the room, shut up, shut up, shut up, but then coming into a state of holiness kind of within ourselves where it's so peaceful. Sometimes you could probably feel the presence of your higher self, or you could feel God, in those moments. Allie's like, we can see. DoorDash better not be sending me no notification because you know what that means. And it ain't me. I'm here with you. What's going on back there? Cancer energy. Right? Well, the way Dane Rudyard says it, this is him speaking, is that whatever mama wants on this side, mama gets. Because papa's sitting right over here in Capricorn. Poor guy has to sit and look at Cancer's expressions, or, how Cancer can make these faces, and all hell's about to break loose. They can make some other faces too, the expressions of Cancer, without making a sound, and you'll know. Let's get it on, because Cancer and Capricorn, they want to get it on. And Jupiter is in this axis point right now, and we all may feel because of this right here. You see this? That's why I look for the square point. I know I'm making a big hot mess. This is not the best tool for me. I need my Cintiq again. Get rid of all these lines. Change the color. God bless. All right. This right there. And then where Jupiter is, and I'm going to snatch grab the opposite side, but it looks like that. That's where I'm looking first. Yes, absolutely. And even though there's nothing over here in Capricorn, it doesn't mean that Cancer isn't tapping on his door, because I'm looking at it through the planet. I'm actually looking over here. Why would I look over here the most? Because every other spot on the axes has some sort of planetary placement. There is an object in space right now that is hella heavy. And I remember the weight of these things. Ceres, 3 times the size of Pluto. And that's where the astronomical piece of astrology comes in, because you got to learn that stuff, right? So if Ceres is 3 times the size of Pluto, that's a pretty big chunk of rock, right? Over on the other side, you got the moon. In comparison, moon ain't got nothing on Ceres, Mars, about the size of Earth, okay? And then Jupiter's on the other end, which is the biggest, largest planetary object in our solar system. So let me show you what I do because we're friends and friends share. I kind of assign them a value. I do. I'll be like, okay, so let's say that the moon plus Mars, let's give it a 15. Sure. Now, these assigned values, just they're for my benefit. On the other side, I'd see Ceres and I'd be like, yeah, let's give Ceres like a 32 in comparison to the other planets on my little seesaw. Then I look up here at Jupiter, right? And dang it all, that's Papa. This dude is 100% the heaviest thing. So you see this assignment, it's a ghosting assigning a value. I do this with my eyeballs and I do it really fast. And I go click, 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 click with my eyeballs. Yeah. I assign the planets a value. So if we had an object in space that was the plane of existence was flat like this, and there was a cross section piece that you knew was there, and it's kind of floating in space. On one side, you have 15, you have 100. Down here, you have 32. And please, dear Lord in heaven, over here, you have a big fat 0. What do you think this thing's going to do? I'm just asking as a friend. That whole thing's going to tilt. This side's going to go way, way, way up, right? This will be the highest point. Highest point. So I'll put an H here. This would be the lowest point. And these two sides, this side would be heavier. And this side would be lighter. I'm going to put little dots like that. So in my mind, when I'm scanning a chart, this is sort of the representation of what I see in my head. And people go, how do you do that? I go, I don't know. We all have our own method of seeing it. We're all connected, right? So our intuition is correct for the moment that we're in. There is no judgment. We're constantly moving. Constantly. The planet spins this way and the solar system's going that way. Everything's going to change. So it works for me in the moment that I'm learning it. If you're thinking about opening your own channel and you're thinking about teaching astrology and you don't think that you have enough knowledge, I will call bullshit on that. Why? Because you're going to attract people and the knowledge that you have is yours. People will come to your little basket of goodies and they'll take what they need. We only remember 30% of anything we've ever learned. I don't know if y'all know that because we're only using this tiny little 10% up in our conscious awareness at the frontal lobes of our brain. So no pressure. You know what I mean? You're going to keep learning and you give what you can. You give what you can when you can. That's the best you can do. You keep learning, you keep adding, your basket gets bigger. You keep learning, you keep adding, your basket gets bigger. And people who come to you will value the information regardless. Why? Because they're seekers. I'm a seeker, you're a seeker, Heather's a seeker, people chasing Heather because they're seeking Heather. I ain't seen nothing of the like, y'all. That girl could drive through. I told her on day 3 or 4, I was like, you washed down in some sort of like love potion number 9? because this is odd. I mean, I knew that there would be an attraction because it's Heather, but I didn't think she'd be trailing him. Dude, I don't want to share her stories, but she did bring it home to me, so maybe it's part of mine. This girl, that just know that she's covered in love potion number 9. And guess what she has in Cancer? Guess what she got right here? Venus. Venus. And Jupiter sitting on top of her Venus right now. Girl is love potion number 9. She really is love potion number 9. I ain't even got to lie about that. So I give the actual 2D map. 2D map. It's a 2D map. And I make my brain turn it into what it really is with weight. With weight, I see how it'll toggle like this because the moon on this side of things, the moon is going to release from Mars, right? The moon will release from Mars and start heading forward. And this 15 is going to change, you know, it'll change to like an 8. And the moon will be over here like a 2 as it trucks this way. So when I'm looking at the chart, the first thing I do, and I know that was very long to give you, but I bet you $1 million you'll try. You'll try and you'll be like, oh, dang. It makes sense because it is sense. It's not science. I'm not going to say that. Science is the hot pursuit of stuff. They are seekers who are seeking, like you and me, okay? Just like me and you, they're seekers. They're just over there seeking that thing over there. We're over here seeking this thing over here. Let me get rid of this, y'all. I'm so sorry. I didn't know I could write on my face. This is kind of cool. I didn't know I could write on my face, y'all. That's kind of cool, man. I could write on my face. Yeah. All right. I just got a phone call that I missed. It was probably the doctor's office, and we've been on here for quite some time. If you liked this, just hanging out, talking astrology stuff, I don't mind doing it. I have my own ways, but so do you. So do you. All right. Tell me what you want before you say bye-bye, and then I'll say bye-bye, and maybe we'll see each other later. Anybody? It's my favorite. Oh yeah, the pumpkin spice. Amy thinking pumpkin spice plus sexy fun time. I ever tell you I worked in this place, right? You know those little Dove chocolates? Little Dove chocolates. You open them up, and on the inside of the wrapper, it has like a little saying, you know. What give me one of the sayings from like a Dove chocolate. You know, it would be something like hold on to your loved ones. Make magic happen, right? And in my the place I worked, we added the words in bed. So you open the chocolate and you go make magic happen in bed. Doesn't matter. Do it with your Chinese cookie strips. It's like I'm telling you to go out and play in the world that you're in, right? I'm shopping for cereal. You be like tricks in bed. You know what I mean? It's terrible fun. It's terrible fun. All right. I'm going to go. This is really long live. I love you guys. You are, I don't know how we made it. We're on the other side now. And maybe we should do that next time I talk to you because that's what Heather and I are jumping on right now. And Amba, I showed her that this morning. We're looking at the Venus and Saturn influence. I'm making that face. The Venus and Saturn influence from the day you were born, because there is a topic that keeps punching you in the face. So it's very specific to you, right? So we're looking at the 42-month, which is 3.5 years of the Venus return to Saturn cycle, where it will return to that place, kicks off Saturn, Venus and Saturn, the relationship in the chart of your Venus and Saturn, and then the annual return, not annual, the return, the Venus return to this place. I don't know. Heather and I'd have to talk about it, whether it would be a full Venus return or would it be a Venus to Saturn return? Because my chart's not fair. I naturally have Venus conjunct Saturn. So we'd have to talk about that. That's a good question to ask Amba tomorrow or something. So we've discovered that it's a lot like a roller coaster, this 42-month stretch, right? We could talk about that tomorrow or something. I bet you guys would like that. All right. I love you. Heather loves you. Give us some love. We haven't given up. We drag it on, people. Mwah. Take care. I'll see you, tomorrow? Everybody? Sure.